Being a guest on a podcast is maybe the most effective way to build your credibility and authority on what you know or what your company does. You can get booked as a guest on lots of podcasts, and Outlier Audio is great at helping you do just that. Outlier Audio focuses on getting entrepreneurs, investors, and business professionals booked on podcasts. Tell your brand story without the need to interrupt an audience with an ad. Be the reason they listen to the podcast. Get started with a 5-podcast booking trial to see if you like it. Find out more at outlieraudio.com/bookme. That's outlieraudio.com/bookme.
Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. Today I'm here with Elyse Archer of She Sells, and she doesn't sell seashells by the seashore, but not yet. Maybe in retirement, right?
Yep, there you go.
But she is a sales coach extraordinaire. She's a former journalism student at Chapel Hill, and she helps women and men get better at selling the right way. Because there's definitely a bad way to sell. I mean, come on, it's honestly easier to sell bad than it is to sell good. Actually, you know what? You think about it, you have to try hard to sell both ways. It's kind of, you can sell mediocre is easy to do. But to be really bad at sales, like really, really bad, you've got to really try hard. But to be really good at sales, that's a whole nother ball game. So, Elyse, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Seth. I feel like right off the bat with everything you said, like we could have so many good conversations around that. I'm excited to be here. What a great show you've got. And I'm excited to see where the conversation goes. Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. It doesn't have to be the very far beginning, but so you went to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Tar Heel. My cousin-in-law is a big Tar Heel fan. He got his PhD there. Hi, Randy. I'm not like the Tar Heels. Like you guys are diehard.
Well, you know what's funny, and this actually ties into a bit of my story. I really didn't care about sports. Like I really didn't care. I wanted to work when I was there. So this will probably immediately alienate any of your audience who are Tar Heel fans. I never went to a game. Probably just Randy. Yeah. Maybe just Randy. Yeah, Randy won't like me. I never went to a game. I was so focused on working. I was so, I know. Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy? I was so focused on working. I was working like 5 jobs at the same time. Not because I needed to. Like I was actually fortunate that my parents paid for school, but I liked it. A lot of them were sales jobs. Wow. I just always enjoyed working. And I think I had that entrepreneurial spirit from the beginning. And I was like, sports, like, I don't care. Yeah. So looking back, it would have been great to go to a game when it was a lot easier. Have you gone to the game since? I haven't. I mean,
oh my gosh, it's supposed to be a bucket list.
I tell you what, Seth, like I used to make myself wrong for it, and now it's like it's just not something I care about a lot, and I'm okay with that. And I think that's part of, not to try to like get too esoterically right in your podcast, but I think that to me, that's part of success as an entrepreneur and as a human is like knowing how you're wired, knowing what matters to you, knowing what doesn't, and then not making yourself wrong for it.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, ever since I left Delaware, I have this sports scores come up. I never look at them. I feel obligated because I was so into it in college. Stuff, so.
Well, no, and I mean, it's like to each their own. And I've got most of my friends who I went to school with are crazy about it. And I'm like, I know a lot of your listeners are no doubt big sports fans, and I'm all for that. For me, it's like I get so engrossed in other things in life. And I was always so engrossed in like my business and that game that it was like, that's the thing. So
you got out of Chapel Hill without going to a game. And then where'd you go from there? Did you immediately open up your own business? Did you go into a sales career? What did you do?
This is going to make me sound really old. So the thing at the time that was like the cushy sales job, I went into sales because so I'll just give a little background. I remember my journalism professor one day sharing what you would make as a newspaper editor, which is what I thought I wanted to do. And he told us, and I was like, oh no. this is not going to work for me.
Take it from a journalist who was a journalist for 6 years. You make nothing.
Nothing. And I was like, I like nice things. Like I have good taste. And I was like, nope, that's not going to happen. So I went into sales right out of school. At the time when I graduated, again, it makes me sound very old. It was on the tail end of the legacy of this, but I went into selling Yellow Pages because that was like the cushy media sales job.
But we're around the same age, so I remember Yellow Pages. I remember using Yellow Pages.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing they still exist somewhere, somehow, but they very quickly, while I was there, this was like 2008, they very quickly started selling search and digital marketing and all of that. So I sold more of that, but the part that really, I think, started like planting the seed for what I do now was so much of the sales process stuff was like, it just felt off to me. And this is not, it's not to say that everything was wrong with this company's sales process, but this is, I think, across the board universally, at least for many years, how sales was taught, which is say this script, don't deviate.
Don't deviate at all. I did sales. Don't have a personality. It's like,
don't ever.
Anyone who knows me knows I have too much of a personality. So sales didn't work for me.
What did you sell out of curiosity?
Besides what I do now, I sold Connex boxes, big, construction boxes to construction sites. You sell what you're good at and you like. You can't sell stuff you don't like. I mean, if you can, you're a special breed, but I can't.
Well, and I love what you said because I didn't even get that at the time. And looking back, that's so true. Like that's so true. But for years I was selling stuff that was for me because early on, so much of my journey was like, I didn't value myself. I had a lot of self-worth issues. And so it was a lot about making money to try to validate myself.
Yeah.
So a lot of the journey early on was like, where can I make the most money? And that's what I did. And
it's
so
usually
I was
the boring things to make the most money.
Yeah, for sure. At the end of the day, I found myself like trying to fit into a box that didn't feel like me and trying to use a process that didn't feel like me. And a lot of what felt like trying to force and push people into saying yes to hit a quota. And that didn't feel great either. So eventually I had expanded that corporate role and went on to work with another company selling global digital media. And I was always a, top performer, did great.
It's usually more fun to sell than Yellow Pages.
It was definitely more fun. But what ended up happening was the way that was taught to sell was a lot of cold calling, a lot of, again, say the script, do this thing. And I would do enough of that to check the box and not raise flags with my leadership. But what I was also doing simultaneously was things that I personally felt were going to work better for sales, like building a brand that would generate inbound leads, launching a podcast, doing video content. This is like 2009, putting out informational videos on YouTube and Facebook to like brand myself. And it was explosive in terms of the growth and what was working.
We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show. Time and place is everything, especially in marketing. But today there are millions of messages per minute and not enough hours in the day. How do you catch your target audience's attention? One word, LinkedIn. LinkedIn can help you speak to the right people at the right time. LinkedIn has become #1 in B2B advertising in the U.S. With LinkedIn, you can stand out against your competitors, nurturing customer relationships and growing your brand. LinkedIn delivers you quantity and quality. Its targeting tools allow you to reach precise audiences down to their job title, company name, location, and more, which means your ads are being seen by those who matter most. Scale your marketing and grow your business with LinkedIn advertising. As a thank you to their customers for helping them grow 3 times faster than their competition, LinkedIn is offering a $100 credit on your next campaign. To get this credit, go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. It's amazing when you don't listen to the old stuffy guys smoking cigars, how well you can actually do at sales. Like when you don't follow the script.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I know. And I bet for your listeners, because a lot of your listeners are probably entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
They get it. And that's why they went off and did their own thing because they were like, I can't fit in someone's box. Yeah. So it was that way ended up working really well. And along the way, a lot of personal, like healing work, healing a lot of limiting beliefs around worthiness and money and all of that. And I found there was just this other way to be very successful in sales that wasn't being taught. And so I'm kind of jumping ahead here. You can cut me off anytime, but that was really what inspired. That was really what inspired the company. And I left corporate.
So you left. So after digital marketing, you left corporate.
Yeah.
And you opened up Elyse Archer Consulting, or what's it called? Yeah, She Sells with Elyse Archer.
Yeah. Well, so it was a little of a more roundabout journey than that.
Okay.
But I'll give you the Cliff's notes. So yeah, I left corporate. I had, I was making six figures doing quote unquote well. And I had one sales client on the side who had paid me $300 to review a presentation for him. And I was like, this is proof of concept. Like I can get a customer outside of corporate.
Exactly. It's all about the side hustle. It's all about the side hustle. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if most people would have that risk tolerance. I don't recommend it for everyone. I had like 6 months of savings and one person who'd paid me $300 and I was like, I'm out of here, and went off. Launched a sales coaching business early on in that journey. I actually ended up I worked as an independent contractor, but I partnered up with this much larger global sales coaching organization. And it was wonderful in many ways. And along the way, unexpectedly, there was a lot of change within the company. I found myself overnight, no clients, had to take down my whole brand that I'd built, was under a 2-year non-compete where I couldn't talk sales, couldn't do anything in that realm. It was tough. Scary. It was tough. Yeah. Yeah. So that was a bit of a dark night of the soul, but I got through it. Yeah. A number of us were in the same boat and we went off and started a new company in the branding space called Brand Builders Group, which is a phenomenal organization. And then my non-compete in the sales world lifted close to 2 years ago. And I was finally able to really, do what I wanted and launch She Sells. And it's been phenomenal. The rest is kind of history.
So what is the best? I mean, obviously you've done corporate, you've done pseudo corporate, you've done stuff that's not necessarily in the selling realm, but in the branding realm of stuff. What's the best thing about being an entrepreneur to you?
Oh, I love that question. You probably hear this a lot. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is the freedom. I think if you don't have a high amount of personal discipline, then the freedom doesn't work, right? So, but you've got to be super self-motivated. But I think when I think about where I am right now, like we've got a son who's 20 months. We were talking about him in the pre-show.
You took a camping trip in an RV.
Yeah. And I'm excited for us to stay in touch because I know your son is 9. And I'm like, I want to know what to expect as we go on.
He's a character.
I mean, it's the best. But I think being an entrepreneur and having that flexibility, like Tuesdays, I've started taking off completely for mommy and me day. And it's like, I can run the company and have a global team and do the things. And still, because I've decided I'm in choice and in control of how I run my life, like I can take Tuesdays to be with him if I want.
I haven't learned that yet.
It's
been 14 years doing Gold to me. I've not learned that yet. Where it's been like I like taking a day off. I mean, I take the weekends off, and by the time Monday comes around, I'm like, I have to get back to work. This is oh my God.
Well, I don't know about you, but to me, work is the safe space. Like it's my comfort zone. It's my safe space. Being a parent was not, and it still is
terrifying.
Like it pushed. So it's like I almost have to like discipline myself to take Tuesdays off. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, but
it's so true that it is not safe. It's not safe space. It's not dangerous space, but it's an unknown, especially for me when my kids very much like me. Yeah. So it's like we can only take so much of each other. Though.
Yeah, because the kids are mirrors, right? It's all a mirror.
God. Yeah, he's me. He's very much. He's very different than me. He's very high energy, like I am, very extroverted, but he's different. But he's me, and I'm proud of that. I love him. But it's crazy. So anyhow, what is the scariest thing about being an entrepreneur?
I mean, you got to be able to navigate uncertainty, right? I think the biggest lesson that I've learned about that is learning to be as unattached as possible to what's going on outside of you, which is kind of like, I love the theme of the show, right? Entrepreneur's Enigma, because it is an enigma, right? When you're a successful entrepreneur, you're devoted to results. Like you care about results. You're driven by growth. And I'm all of those things. And what I've learned is I have to be okay, regardless of what's going on in the world, regardless of what's going on in the business. Like at my core, as a human being, as a soul, I have to be okay without any of those things. And that's kind of all
Absolutely.
like icing on top. So I think when we feel like certain and safe in our bodies, then everything gets easier in our businesses.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
it's taken a long time to get there.
Yeah, and then it's always evolving. It's always evolving. It's scary. Here's another good question. This one gets people thinking, what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
I would say I carry a goal card, which I don't know. Are you did you ever watch Bob Proctor?
I've heard of him. I've never watched him.
Yeah.
No.
So he just passed away recently at the time of this recording. He was considered like the #1 prosperity teacher, I think, in the world. And he talks about carrying a goal card, which is a little card. Like I have it on a Post-it note, and it says, I am so happy and grateful now that. And then it's your future vision of what you're stepping into. For me, it's one sentence. It's my primary goal right now.
Wow.
And I carry that on me at all times. And it's like, throughout the day when you're like, you take a break and you want to stop and like scroll Instagram or do whatever, I discipline myself. I'm not perfect with it, but I discipline myself and said, like, pull out that goal card and reconnect with what's the vision? What am I creating? And how does it feel? Like, who is the person who has that reality? And then how can I show up as her now? I tell you what.
And stop looking at Instagram.
And here's what I love, because so much of my brand has ended up becoming about neuroscience and subconscious reprogramming, just because that stuff is really, I didn't used to think it was important. It's really important.
Oh, absolutely.
But what Bob said is when you first write it down, your brain will tell you this is a lie. Like, this isn't true for me.
This is bubkiss. Yeah.
This is, yeah. But what happens is if you read a lie, if you write down a lie on a piece of paper and you read it again and again and again, eventually it becomes true because it's a new belief you take in. So it's fun to kind of watch it unfold in real life.
It's also dangerous. You have to warn your kids not to tell lies because eventually they get a little skewed.
It'll become true. Yeah. Yeah.
So She Sells is an online community, right? It's an online community for women salespeople who want to excel at sales and brand themselves and get out there. So how can people find out more about She Sells and find you online?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking, Seth. I'd say 2 places. So ElyseArcher.com. And we've got a great, if it's okay to share a download, like a freebie people can get. ElyseArcher.com/scripts is our 5 sales scripts to increase your closing rate 50% or more. It's actually a really cool free download. One of my clients called me right after I made it. She was like, I just used this. I made $31,000 today in 2 calls. And she was like, I've never made that much before. And it was like 2 little things I did different.
Ooh,
so
I'm going to go download that.
And I can say it's good because it's things I learned from amazing mentors I've worked with over the years that make a big difference. So there's that. And then from what I know, the average person listens to 7 podcasts. And I'd say if I would have the honor of being in your podcast queue along with the Entrepreneur's Enigma, the She Sells Radio is the show. And
it's good. And it's good for all genders.
All genders. All are welcome. Yeah,
all are
absolutely.
Welcome. And, and you do a live stream on Mondays. Is that what it is?
Yeah, absolutely.
I never catch these live. All my friends do these live streams. And I don't know about them until they say, oh, by the way, there's a live stream that was 2 hours ago. I'm like, thank you, Lincoln, for letting me know.
I know.
2 hours late.
But, running your business too and being a successful entrepreneur, like you can't be there sitting there watching everybody's live stream. So
I know,
the way I think about
fun,
it is like, catch it when you can. It is fun. Yeah.
It's fun. Well, Elyse, this has been so much fun. And hopefully we're going to have you back. We'll talk some more about other things and whatnot. So
thank you, Seth. This was great.
Awesome. That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast trusted of your choice. We're on all of them. And these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.
This podcast is coming to you on MPN, the Marketing Podcast Network. There's another show on MPN you might want to check out.
What if everything you know about marketing and sales is wrong?
Okay, let's not be overly dramatic. What if 20% of what you assume about marketing and sales is wrong?
Marketing and sales are full of myths and misconceptions. So join us on the Rethink Marketing podcast, where we test conventional marketing and sales concepts to see which ones hold water.
And which ones simply don't.
Let's not undersell it. Find marketing enlightenment on the Rethink Marketing podcast, wherever you choose to enjoy your podcasts.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.